It's the final weekend of the month of May before we get into a busy June. That's just going to follow up with a busier July and August and September. And before we know it, it's going to be Christmas. But yeah, welcome to the program, everybody. Friday edition of Woodbine Racing Live. I'm your host, Chad Rosema, alongside, as usual, the Hall of Famer, Randy Waples. Good to have you back, buddy.
Nice to be back.
A Thursday night that we got through, weather-wise was decent. Last night.
A little bit of a rain scare.
Yeah.
But nothing happened.
No. Much warmer today. Much milder. A little bit of wind kicking up, but dry, which is nice. Looks good out there tonight, but a couple of nice winners in the golds last night in the program was, kind of the highlights of the cards.
Well, there was certainly one highlight for one family anyway. There's no doubt about that. I'm wondering if it's the Ratchfords. Have they gone to sleep yet since last night? Or are they still just going on pure adrenaline at this point? Because Todd's back at it tonight.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, he had to go right back into it the next race,
very next race, yeah.
You've been there before.
Yeah, I think though the one that he went from his goal to the next one kind of humbled him a little bit.
Yeah, it was almost like a 10 claimer or something we went into the next race.
Yeah,
something around
certainly
there, right?
was a big difference.
So congratulations to those winners last night in Richie Rich and P.L. Spencer in the golds. We'll have more golds coming up, but we're also going to get into a lot more Grand Circuit. We'll have more on that in what's happening out of town later in the program. But as we talked about, today was a great day weather-wise as far as it being warmer. I know next week's going to actually get very summer-like, teetering on nearly 30 degrees. So that's.
Oh, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, true.
They lie sometimes.
True, but I'd like the heat with just sun too, not rain or whatever. Let's put that away. Let's have it perfect for the Pepsi North America Cup card. We'll go out to the track in a moment, but we want to take care of last night and how things are playing out. Again, our producer putting together some stats of where the eventual winners were on the 10-race program, where they were situated at three-quarters. This is something we're going to kind of just, it's going to evolve. Exactly is what my producer's telling me right now. We'll just kind of get a feel of what maybe should be shown and what people want. And, let us know on our social media channels, too, if you want to see something else here. But for right now, we're letting you know where the eventual winners were at three-quarters. And, again, most of them were first and second.
Yeah.
There was just one in the ninth race that was fourth. I'm trying to think of which one that was. That was Tamara Hanover, maybe?
Yeah, she came from out of it, right?
Yeah. And
she was about the only one, yeah.
So again, and I'm trying to think from a wind standpoint, it wasn't terribly windy. I don't think it was any kind of wind that was going to have a bias one way or the other.
No.
But again, this just goes to show you it's tough to make up a ton of ground here on this track against these athletes, if you're not within range turning for home.
Yeah, it's just, racing's changed. It just certainly has changed, all sports have basically changed too. Look at a sport like golf. At one time, it seemed to be like the whole thing was your drive. It's not really as important now as the game around the greens.
Yeah.
That seems to be
everybody can hit it a ton.
That's right. They can all, you know what I mean?
Right?
The ball, the club, everything's changed,
Yeah.
But here, we, from the time I grew up anyway, racing on a 5/8 mile and even racing on the halves, that's all we had here in Ontario. Like, you had to get your horse into play. You know what I mean? If you wanted to do good, you had to take that risk to get him into play. And I think on the big tracks, that's exactly what we're seeing now, whether it's 7/8 or mile track. Like, the days of, taking off the gate and getting to the back and then getting brought into the race, it's not happening because simply they're not slowing down that last quarter.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me years ago, this is when we used to split the meets. We'd go to Woodbine in Rexdale and then here, and even though they're both 7/8, it was a different configuration. It was banked more at Woodbine, and I remember you telling me that if you're trying to close there at Woodbine, you have to climb up on that last turn. So you're using energy to climb up and then go. Whereas here, it's a flatter last turn. You're not expelling as much energy, but it's still, again, as you say, these horses are getting, they're kicking home at 27 like it's nothing.
And, you can even go a little bit further than that, too, back to the days when we were only 5/8 and we had Greenwood and we had Mohawk. Greenwood was a much more banked kind of a track than Mohawk, and Greenwood was front end specialty because it was tight turns and long straightaways.
Yeah.
You had to be up close to get the job done. You could win the odd one from off the pace, but it was tough. Then when you come to Mohawk, it's completely different racing. You could bring horses from off the pace because the turns, aren't nearly as banked on that. Our turns aren't viciously banked here. I just think it's now to the point where horses can carry speed a lot further than they used to.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go out and look at that racing surface that we're talking about. And as mentioned, we've got some great conditions. Weather is going to be cooperative here tonight. Wind doesn't look like it's going to be any kind of a factor. And there's Friday D. Yeah, getting actually that's the return race, I think, for his charge here in the second, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Connor B. The son of Big Jim, getting his 3-year-old season underway.
To keep the bugs away.
Yeah, and you know what? It's mainly overcast, I would say, but I don't think we've got any threat of precipitation.
I hope
tonight.
Not.
Tomorrow now, again, so here we go from it being, I know today teetered in the neighborhood of 24 to 25 at one point. Still kind of warm out there, and then tomorrow is supposed to be down like 14.
Yeah.
So now there's that fluctuation again, where not just us, but the horses are like, "Come on, throw us a bone." Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And windy tomorrow too. I understand. I don't know how high, but I understand there'll be some wind. And, and here it can actually be a big factor depending on where it's coming from.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It looks great out there. I love it when it's got that charcoaly type look to it.
Yeah, I like it too there. When you don't see the big white caps on Lake Mohawk there, then you know that if the wind's not too bad, it's dealable, you know?
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right, we got lots to cover here tonight. 12 races on this program. And it's kind of a fun one to handicap because with, majority of our top drivers out of town and for London's big closing night, guys are getting opportunities, and we've seen this before. And it can create some different dynamics out there. And
did it affect your handicapping? Because honestly, it didn't really affect mine.
I didn't let it affect my handicapping.
Oh, well, it didn't really affect mine
because
for whatever
in the
reason.
past I have read too much into that,
right.
I've said I'm just going to handicap more or less on the horse.
On the horse, that's what I went through. The same thing.
Yeah, that's what I've done.
And if you happen to catch a guy that that's more of a little bit of a regular, then it was like a bonus.
Yeah, true.
But you couldn't go hunting for that.
Yeah, because we still have the Trevor Henrys here. The Billy Davis.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great move by Billy. He could have had some opportunities in London. I think he was listed on some, but he said, you know what, here, I'm going to come here. He's got to drive in, I think, all but one race tonight.
Well, two of the guys that have just basically come onto our circuit both have really big opportunities tonight. Billy Davis, J.R. Plant.
Oh, J.R. Plant, yeah, he's getting a lot too. Yeah, exactly. All right, so race number 1, we saw the field in the current wagering and what's going on there. Group of 10 on the trot to kick things off. Wondrous Blue Chip. We always expect the Luke Blay horses to take money, and he is right now lukewarm choice at 3-1 currently. Do you think this guy is getting closer to putting it together again this year for a win?
I think so. I'm sure right now that he's a bit of a frustration for them at this point. 7 starts last year. He had 2 wins, one of them in 55 as a 2-year-old, but still never consistent. Speed, yeah, it was there. The power, yeah, it was there, but not the consistency of it. I think he's starting to kind of come back, into a better kind of consistency. So let's take a look at this last race. This was a 6-day rotation on this one. It had the 5-hole, dirty, sloppy track, as you can see. And I mean, when a horse is on a track like this is usually when you're going to find that if they're looking to jump it, this will be when they do it. The track is greasy. They're getting mud in the face. The horses get kind of close to them that maybe they're not really picking up on right away. But either way, I thought he put a good effort in here. Had the 5-hole to work with, for Tyler. And, he doesn't really put on any big moves, but he doesn't get tired. This is the thing. They're all staying together. He's still moving forward on the end of it. I think each race he gets a little bit better. Where I think that it's really kind of helped him in a way, though, is I think that this is a bit of a drop down for him. I'm a big fan of Cadiddle that beat him in that last start. Big fan of Richie Rich, and I'm a big fan of Right Here Hanover Cover Band. I think he's raced against some pretty tough horses in them 3 starts back. So tonight, maybe a little bit of an easier group and a better racetrack, nice post position to work from. So I'm going to take a chance with Wondrous Blue Chip. And I don't know, did he open up his favorite?
Yeah, 3-1 right now.
Yeah, 3-1.
Yeah. Zebefina came out of that last race to win last night, too.
Right. I could see that going up a little bit, though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't... Do you see him going off as chalk tonight? See, I don't really see him going off as the favorite.
Yeah, I think the back source, despite moving up, is going to get a lot of play in Southland Caspian.
I think that he too, but I'm thinking more J-Port Cash. I think that this one is bringing over some interesting lines right now. I think that this one could come up with I got him in for second. I think he might be the one. You didn't use him at all?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
This is a race I could have gone many directions. I've taken a swing actually with Scotty Young and Storm Ontario.
Beautiful.
You know, last year showed me some ability. I know only won one time out of 12 opportunities, but he's got some gate speed, and I just hope that he leaves out of there enough to be able to get a position up close and then just kind of sit there and maybe it develops for you in the lane. Yeah.
Two horses that I think in this race, too, that I didn't use, but I think that are looking at good efforts in here is number 1, Sushi Bar for Doug Brown. His last 2 starts have been really, really good. And the other one is his next door neighbor, Green Monster.
Yeah.
You know, he's been very, very good at different times for Jerry Duford.
All right, that's the opener on this Friday. Don't forget, race 1 starts the $75,000 guaranteed early pick 5. Race 2 is where we head to next on the pace. 5-year-olds and younger, non-winners of 1 or $8,500 lifetime for this group of 8. We did just see the returning Connor B out there warming up for Friday. Dean coming in off of a winning qualifier in 56-3. That could maybe get him some play in here. Shadow of an Angel tried a front-end approach last time, and I'm not surprised. I mean, he's kind of getting a look of a little of everything so far as he gets a foundation underneath him. And I know he wasn't able to hold on, but Silky Choice had been racing well for Team Jameson. Mm-hmm. I thought it was okay for him. I know James was telling me that, this is a horse that he can get a bit hot, a little grabby, and that, Jameson started to work his horse up to kind of get him, mount a challenge. And this just kind of got this horse activated a bit because, they went 26-3.
Well, we started this
quarter.
replay just past the half, Chad. Usually we're at the head of the lane, and I think that that's what it was as well. I think the horse just kind of maybe just paced away from James for a few steps, and by the time James realized what he was doing, it was too late to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And the horse that had to beat him, sitting right on his back every step of the way, So I think he's going to be a lot better in here, but I agree with you. I think it was just a case of a horse that, has big speed and was in front, freewheeling, and, maybe he just got a little bit away, ahead of McDonald. It doesn't happen very often when it comes to James. He's pretty good at rating him, good clock. But right here, this is where it starts to, it starts to come into play. And Jody just, keeps staying on the outside and gets by him. And a little bit of a green horse, too, because when Jody got up alongside of him, he clicked into gear again. So a horse that hasn't done a lot of racing up in front, maybe was just a little bit too strong of fractions for him. Picking up Trevor Henry today, middle half in 55-1 last week. Let's hope that he saves that last half for... the back half of the card as opposed to the middle half. The other replay is the 3-horse All-Time Rock. You like this one?
Well, I used him last time in this race because of the qualifier. I showed the qualifier where Jody just kept him on a helmet. You could have moved him. He didn't. He just stayed on the helmet. I liked that. I thought, I'm going to give him a shot here. And although we didn't win, I was happy that Jameson gave me an opportunity, put this horse in play. He was still chasing on the end, but Torque Delight with the big rally, Sea Life Hanover. I think those are 2 horses that would look very good in this spot here tonight. So to me, he impressed me enough. He got an extra week off. I think he'll be just fine coming into this race.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, too, it was just like a little bit of greenness when Jody was trying to force him up the inside of Louis. I just think it was a little bit of a greenness situation. He's only had 6 lifetime starts.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like learning. And every time that he races, he learns a little bit of something. So each time that he races, the speed's obviously there, but if he learns each time as well, he's just going to become that much more of a powerful racehorse. So I like him.
Not that I used him, but I want to see him because I've spoken a lot to connections about him. Steal Away Hanover, the full brother to Sylvia Hanover. And, I know early indications where this was a horse that, Sylvia was always labeled as I'm going to go when I want to go. You can chase her as much as you want.
Yeah.
This guy, he's got some of that laziness, but he did make it to the track. He was okay. Showed some interest at Flamborough Downs, but I'm sure they're excited to see if he can progress, right? They've tried some things. He's a gelding. That's not ideal when you spend $200,000 on a horse that's bred like this, but they got to do some things. So he could be one that maybe just flourishes as he gets a little older.
Yeah, another one, very, very lightly raced. And, I would be looking at it as, pay close attention to him, see if you like him on the track and see what he races, maybe use him next week. All
right, we've got another pop-up series getting underway in race 3 that starts the early pick 4. This is for horses and geldings, 20,000 claimers that are numbers of 60,000 life. Ontario sired 75,000. So leg 1, Brudon scratched sick out of here. I think he was going to actually be a factor.
I didn't use him this week.
That's what I was.
Used him last week.
Yeah, I had him second initially in here. So we're down to a field of 7. A Vis-a-Vis Blue Chip, what do you make of him? Many of us expected him to improve. going to the Barrington barn. He just didn't show enough, but again, could it have been the track? Some didn't like the track.
It could be. It could be, but I will agree with you. He didn't show much.
No.
You know, not for what we were thinking was going to happen. You know, I threw him back in, but on the bottom this time.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to make a stable change again. You know, Barrington, just nothing really happened with him last week. I mean, big middle half, 55-4, but still, like, even in the middle half when they were asking him to go, he just didn't seem like he had any interest whatsoever of being out there, you know? Mm-hmm. So now this week he's going to, Kyle Fellows going to take a chance with him, and Tyler Jones going to jump up on him. So I'm going to use him in, you know, on the bottom. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come up with a big effort, but you know, to me, left a little bit lacking in his last performance. Rusty's bet is going to be the way I'm going to go. You know, at different times, he is able to get the job done and be a winner. You know, 7 for 31 last year, 1 for 8 this year. You know, maybe a little bit so far this year, he's been a little bit behind. But I think he's just been the 20,000 claimer. When he first came into it, I think it was easy for him. And I think it's gotten a little bit tougher. You know, the competition's gotten tougher. Mm-hmm. So it's a little tougher for him to win races, but I think he's sitting on a good effort again. Billy Davis could be off to a big night tonight. Again, you know, he doesn't do anything flashy. He's a lazy kind of a horse. Even when he's winning, it seems like they got to force him to do it. But at this point here, what I'm thinking is muddy night, tight situation down in here. I don't know how much Billy's going full blast to get in between Travis and Tyler Boris. So I think he kind of backed off a little bit on the end of it. Either way, I think that he's legitimate in here and he can come back with a big trip. So Rusty's bet going to be the way I go.
I ended up going Kwiatkowski's Jimmy Whispers, despite the fact that he's only 1 for 18 this year. I mean, he's got another 12 in the money finish. He's always there, right? I think he races too well not to come away with another win here or there. And I think tonight maybe he can do it because there's no Rochester flash in here. That's who he's had to chase lately. I think he's going to enjoy this more. I believe Plant will have him in play early. And I just hope that, you know, this is one of those nights where he comes up with a win. Using him in for third, so I agree with you, my friend. Fourth race, pick 6 is underway on the pace here for fillies and mares, 5 and under. It's a non-winners of 1. Another maiden here, 8,500 lifetime. We've got a group of 10 in this spot, and we do have a couple that are going to be coming in off of efforts that maybe weren't necessarily predicted by handicappers because of what their odds were, and they outraced their odds. And they're now going to maybe, you know, you can make an argument they might get overbet a little here tonight, like an Eternal Delight. But man, oh man, was she ever flying last time? Boo-hoo. We got 2 replays to show tonight, Chad. Is this the first one? Yeah, we are going to go Eternal Delight first. Yep. Okay, so, you know, I'm going to put Eternal Delight up on top. I think her and Sarah B. Delight both raced extremely well. I think My Gelato also raced extremely well too, but I'm going to go Eternal Delight because I thought she raced good, but the biggest reason is I want to be able to pick the horse that gives Austin McEnany his first lifetime win. So really cheering hard for Scott McEnany's son Austin, down his trainer on here. A lot of people that I like ownership on this one as well. See Dr. Terry Rook towards the back of it too. Huge fan of his as well. So Eternal Delight just failed to get there last week, but I thought it was a really good effort, and I think that she could come back with another big effort in here tonight for Trevor and Austin. Sarah B. Delight. This is going to be the other replay that we're going to show you in here, and boy, oh boy, this is a good one as well. So you can see her right now with J.R. Plant. Yeah, already the shoulders back, you know, already looking for room, and boy, oh boy, talk about a wall of horses around you, you know, where JR is, but he does find, you know, some room and does be able to turn her loose and make her pace hard on the end of it there. So good effort by her as well. He's out here with her now, and here she starts to move forward now. This Marie DuPont trainee out of the great Voles Hanover, one of my favorite horses of all time. Looks like a typical Better's Delight there. Yeah, and big wheels on the end of it, big gate on the end of it, and on the on the run out, she's almost by them all here at this point. So I really like her as well. So 2, 1, 3 is the way that I'm going to go. What about yourself? I went 8, 2, 4, 6. So I went Sarah B up on top over Eternal Delight. I'm liking both of those in here. I used Tall Dark Lady last time, the regally bred filly, but I got to see more from her. Yeah. You know, My Gelato has been one that, you know, I've factored in as a contender before, but just decided not to use her tonight from the inside. Lions Marion was even kind of sneaky good in that first start, but another one that I want to just sort of watch another time. It's a good little group here, but I do like Sarah Beadalette. I just loved how she looked physically.
I do. I agree with you as well. And my gelato, I thought it was a locked-in trip, but you know something? I find the only time that she really looks live is when she's locked in.
Yeah, she's had a couple of those.
I've seen her on the outside a couple of times, and she don't look as live then. Yeah. So, you know, bit tricky, but I got her in for second because, you know, she can get there.
We'll skip over 5. We'll head to 6. That starts the mid-pick 5. We've got 12 tonight, so we're back to 3 pick 5 opportunities. We'll have that again tomorrow with the Baker's Dozen on the program. Race number 6 is for fillies and mares in the pace. Nominators at 9,000 last 5. I know Tell's on a roll as 2-1 morning line, but I got a feeling she'll be odds on here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100%. You know what I mean? I'm throwing her up on top. This should be a free square, Chad. But I don't look at it as a free square. I'm putting her up on top, but I'm not betting my house that she's going to win this race. She just, for whatever reason, I just don't see that fire in her system right now.
Yeah.
You know, I seen it a couple of starts ago when he tried to leave out of there, I think from the 4 hole. Before, when he wanted to leave with her, it was just a matter of when I'm going to get down to the inside. He'd step on the gas and she'd be there in a blink of an eye. 2 starts ago, seemed to me like when he asked her, she kind of sputtered a little bit out of there. Not really sure that she's 100% on her game, but boy, oh boy, if she's at 85%, I think she can beat these. So I'm going to go with her up on top, but I can't really say that I'm doing it with a free square.
Yeah,
kind of
I think she comes back to life here, and I think in an aggressive form. Last week, somewhere she's certainly not used to being, and that's way at the back. She had the 10 hole. I know it was, you know, down in class. She's down again here tonight. But to me, she was super live in this contest. You can see her at the end here as they're getting set to turn for home. She's behind horses, and you can see Travis is going to want to start to maybe try and see if he can find a way through somewhere. Duck's now down to the inside, starts to get her to rally, but then he's going to have to pump the brakes. Turns her over to the right here, tries to change course, starts going again. You can see him. He's just looking left and right, and he knows, well, I can't start her up. Where am I going to go? I got nowhere to go right now, and now he's starting to kind of grab up. To me, just an effort where she was live. It's not going to hurt her. It was a good back half tonight. With that under her belt and another drop, she's going to get hammered at the windows, I would expect. And I think
1-9.
I think she goes right down the road.
1-5.
You think that low?
Yeah.
I was saying, somebody asked me earlier today, and I said I could see her being like 3-5 tonight.
3-5?
That's what I thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that
maybe she will be lower.
I think if people are playing her, I think that they're going to play her hard.
Okay. All right. So that's race number 6. We are going to skip over 7. We're going to skip over 8 and even 9. How about we go right to 10? Oh, we have 8. Okay, sorry.
We got 8.
No. I just wanted to kind of, I wanted to take the breather. I guess we're going to look at 8. Okay. So 8th race trot. Nominators at 2, 5 and under in here. We've got a group of 10. I think we've got some nice ones lining up in here. Some that have got some certain, ability. Some that are sitting on maybe big efforts, and some that we could see in some stakes action upcoming. I know your brother's charge Wild Turkey Hanover. What a nice reference for him now.
Yeah.
Because his last race was against Richie Rich, and we saw what he was able to do. He kind of dismantled his OSS foes last night.
Did he ever? Absolutely. And he raced really, really good last week there, but I mean, he wasn't an overpowering winner on Ronnie Jr.'s horse. He wasn't just walking away from him at the end of it. If anything, I think Wild Turkey was maybe picking up a little bit on him. So let's take a look on, I don't think I sent his, yes. Let's take a look at Wild Turkey's replay on this one. He's going to be my top pick. Don't usually like to put my brother up on top because I think it adds pressure to him there. And, you never want to put pressure on your older brother because no matter how old you get, he can still lick you. So Wild Turkey, this is going to be one of my few times that I put him up on top. But one thing I can say about driving a lot of horses for my brother over the years is that they have great foundation into them, and when they start to race good on the end of it, there you can go to town because they'll just keep racing good. So at this point, it looks to me like at no point is anybody going to get close to this horse, and they're not. But I mean, for the rest of the field, there's only one that seems to be relentless and keeps coming forward, and that is Wild Turkey Hanover. I'm not going to say that he picked up ground on him, but I'm not going to say he really lost ground to Richie Rich either. So Wild Turkey Hanover going to be the way that I go in with this one. And French Vodka, and another horse of the Christopherus, he seems to be coming around. I got a question for you, Chad.
Yep.
And you've been around here a long time, and maybe you should be asking me this question, but I'm going to ask you instead. What is it with the Christoforous and trotters.
Cool.
I mean, we've seen this a long time, going back to Earl. And then horses that we don't even talk about anymore. What about a horse like Equity? Yeah. That was the scourge of the 3-year-old, golds. And then all the other good ones that they've come out with over the year. What is it with them and trotters? Now, I asked somebody else that, and it might have been, God, I can't remember who I asked that question to, but they said to me that what they thought it was patience.
Well, and that would lead into part of the reason why I think what I find with them, and I don't go back quite as far as you.
Oh, thanks, Chad.
But they bring them to the races, and I'm talking right at the start of their careers, already with a strong foundation, right? They're not just kind of put through the motions and rushed into it and here you go, learn as you go. They come to the races with a good foundation, and I think that helps them out a lot.
I agree, and I also think that, and I mean, this has been going on a very, very long time, you know what I mean? But I personally think myself that Chris Jr. is such an integral part of it, and I'm not saying it because he's my friend, and I'm not saying it because, it's him and his father work together and stuff like that. I'm saying that he goes out there with these horses and he does an incredible job with them. And you see these results of these horses, you know what I mean? They just keep coming one after another. And I never think that family gets the recognition for trotters that they do. Like we always, Trotter, Paul Walker, John Bax, but you never really hear the Christoforou name, and I think that we should.
Yeah, well, I hope we don't have to get a driver change later, because last time you complimented Chris, he said he fell out of his chair. So
yeah, that'd be a sharp hole in the floor there. I hope he didn't land face down.
Now we're going to the 10th race. Race 10 trotters, now under 6,000 last 5. Group of 10 in here. Flirty Dancer, who I used last week. She did what she's liable to do sometimes. That's making a break. She's got a lot of talent. It's just if she can just, stay trotting. Too. Yeah, they're going to go blinkers to side rolls here tonight. So trying to correct things. Not a great spot for her in here. Where'd you go?
I went Eyes of Justice, and he's going to be my all-in.
Racing great right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's my all-in play tonight. Trevor going to pick this guy up. Louis been doing a good job with him, but boy, oh boy, he's on great form, coming right back to that optional 30,000 claimer again. So with the rail, let's take a look at this last replay on him as well, and it's a good one, and his form is just amazingly good right now. The pop-up series, he kind of struggled, but look who he was racing against, Chad. Phoenix, Peso Hanover, a couple of good ones in there. Now I think that this is much more to his liking, and each week it just seems to me like he improves, and he improves. I love when Trevor Henry teams up with Victor Putty. Everything kind of pointing towards Randy's way in this one, so this is going to be my all-in tonight.
Yeah, I think he's the one to beat in here, but I think Mr. Magic, we know when he's feeling good, he can go with any of these. Mm-hmm. And I think he's feeling good right now.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I don't care about him being up in class. They put the value back up to $30,000 for the price tag. I think it's just fine. I think he can be pushed forward again, and I think he'll give Eyes of Justice a good run for his money here tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like 2 starts ago, he raced in this optional 30, and it wasn't a bad effort. Third to only beat a length.
Yeah, exactly. Race number 11 is where we head to next. More pop-up series action here for the 20,000 claiming horses and gelding on the pace. Numbers of 60,000 life, 75 for the Ontario sired. Last time out was a race that Sporty B maybe needed. Had been off a couple of weeks. It was a classification that was opened up. On the money, to kind of get that one on there. And I think it was just let's sort of shed some rust a bit, maybe. But all in all, I thought Sporty B raced pretty well on the end of that mile.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we're going to show you the replay of that one. I got him in for third, and I agree with you too. I think he might have needed that start, almost the 3 weeks off or whatever. I'm going to go above my pay grade up on top for the Cullens. But Sporty B, I would consider this to be a little bit of a, troubled trip, I guess you would call it. Billy Davis driving, towards the back of the pack here right now, and just seems like he's got to always, be moving forward to kind of getting himself back into the race. But he does get back into the race and races quite well right down in the bottom of it for Jackie Moe. So he's going to be my third pick in here. Steel Wheel Hanover going to Barrington. I think he's going to take a ton of support in this race. I got him in for second, and where I'm going to go here, he is right now, Sporty B. Really both the only one that's got a little bit of go on the end of it. And the where I'm going to go with above my pay grade, he's going to be my Worth a Look. in here.
Okay.
I do think that he's going to take a lot of support in this race, but I don't see him going off as favorite. I see more Steel Wheel Hanover. What about you? Where'd you go?
I'm going Steel Wheel. I'm going to handicap this as if that last race didn't happen for him. I'm just not going to judge him on that, right? Because that certainly wasn't him.
No.
He had been too good lately, and he still looked good out there for him to just come up with that kind of an effort. So I'm going to chalk it up to maybe a combination of things out there on that soupy Thursday night. And then on top, it goes to Barrington, who does very well. And this is a nice opportunity, I think, in the pop-up series. Race 11, or next to last.
He could be a single if you were looking to play a late pick 5.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Race number 12 to close things out. Jackpot high 5. Last night, the pool for new money wasn't humongous. It had some prices in there, but the two favorites were mixed in as well. But some big double digits got into the mix. But it does carry over 331,000 plus. Can't See Me scratch. Never did hear the reason for it. I think it just said judges. Maybe they've just said, you know what, vet sick, being told. And, she'll have the fan Hanover coming up as long as she comes out of this just fine.
I had her on top.
Minor. Yeah, I was going with her too.
You had her on top too?
Yeah, no, I liked what I saw from her last week. And I know
too.
in speaking to Louis, and again, I know we're getting on a tangent here talking about a horse that scratched, but she went 26-1 in the third quarter. And I know she was gapping, but Louis like, I don't want to really tire her out just to go to that third quarter. And she still finished with pace. What you want. She's a nice filly.
She is.
Really nice.
Yeah, overloaded with talent.
Yeah.
And, normally I would not be putting her up on top when I see this 2-horse in the race.
Yeah, Sorcia
I am a huge fan of Sorcia Sealster, but I'm not saying that I think that she is dead on her game right now, Sorcia Sealster. I don't think she's far off. But I don't think she's dead on her game. So originally I had Can't See Me on the Sorcia Sealster, but it's now going to be Sorcia Sealster, my top play. So let's take a look at her. Let's take a look at the big girl. Tyler Borth was the driver of this girl in her last start. You can see right now with the yellow saddle pad, the 6-hole, trying to find a little bit of room, and she's moving forward, but not the way Sorcia should be moving forward. She should be coming a lot more on the end of it, in my opinion anyway. I think she's good right now, but I don't list her as, an A candidate. Now with the scratch of Can't See Me, I think that she really, even if she's at 85%, I think that we're looking at a horse that should be able to beat them anyway. Either way, I think the answer is looking at a really live catch drive in here, and I really hope he enjoys it too, because I still say that at some point we're going to see Sorcia Sealster in the top mares group.
Yeah, nice opportunity for Scotty. Does some driving for John, but he's never driven this mare in here. I scratched onto the 3 Angostura Hanover. I thought she raced well with Dougie last time. Trevor Henry knows her very well. I'm totally fine with scratching onto her. Actually, I like her quite a bit in that finale. How about we go all the way back to the start, because I know you're going to be dialing up a bunch of pick 5s tonight, because we've got 3 of them, but here's your early one where, similar to last night, you went chunky earlier, then you got pretty skinny late.
Well, at least this way I can usually survive one leg. Because it seems like when I single at the start, it never really gets done. So, yeah, I went real heavy in the first race here. Not a great read. Wondrous Blue Chip's going to be my top pick in there. In race 2, bring it down to 3. Again, my top pick in there is going to be Shadow of an Angel, but just trying to protect myself a little bit. In race number 3, I'm going to all this one. I like Rusty's bet up on top, but if one of these other ones happen to jump in at a big price, I think I can maybe knock a few out of play, and then it's Singleville from here on out. So race 4, singling Eternal Delight, and race 5, I'm going to be singling Head of the Class, Second Start Lasix.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And just note that there's just 7 horses now in that third race after the scratch of Broodon. So down to a field of 7 in race number 3. So that's Randy's early pick 5. Good luck to you with that. Out of town, we'll get to that in a moment. But here in town, tomorrow, Grand Circuit is underway. We've got the Sun Beach Somewhere. We've got the Graduate. Unfortunately, the Miss Versatility didn't fill. And then just a solid undercard. Busy 13 races. It's starting to heat up, isn't it?
It is, and as much as I like tonight, because we're seeing a lot of different drivers getting opportunities, I like tomorrow night too, because we get to see some real superstar drivers out there, like the return of a Dexter Dunn and, Dave Miller, one of my favorites. Dave Miller already 100
what do we got here tomorrow?
Year.
Dexter, Dave, Matt Kukali's here, Andy Miller's here.
Andy Miller's here.
I think that's it for out-of-town guys.
I think so. The Scotty Z didn't come into town.
No, but we'll see them obviously in coming weeks. So this is the first division of the Grade 3. Sounds nice to say that. Some Beach Somewhere Stakes. Prince Hal Hanover. I can tell you that's where I went in this one, but it's a nice group. I really love Jack Darling's horse and D.A. Loveboat. He admitted in the interview the other night he's going to have to pick it up.
Yeah.
Obviously, but I think he's certainly capable. A real nice group there for that first division of the Sun Beach Somewhere, and you can see which ones are noted as Any Cup eligibles. We'll know Tuesday who drops in, and I know we're really going to be having a look to see who drops in. The other division that we're going to see later on in the program, in there, Light Up the World, I think is the morning line favorite, but you've got some really nice ones locally too. I thought this Bourbon County raced really well last week. Aquinas Hanover, we both feel he's just sitting on a big effort in there. And I know you talked about Joel and the Jets and how well he raced.
Yeah, I think I wimped out in this one there. If I'm not mistaken, I think I might have went with the 6 horse, but if I didn't wimp out, well. Did you? If I didn't wimp out, I'm pretty sure I put Bourbon County up on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then we've got the Graduate Series underway for the 4-year-old Open Pacers.
I didn't wimp out in this one.
Group of 8. Where did you go here?
I went to the 5 horse.
So did I.
Yeah.
I love them tomorrow.
I do too.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that we've got one division for the Trotters. Oaks Swanstead's got 4 of them in there, including last year's Oaks champion and Warwick Michelle. How about the Canadian Trotting Classic winner, Amazing Catch, debuting for the New Connections. Then we've got the Graduate, the other division for the 4-year-old Pacers. You've got Funtown Bayama up against our NA Cup champ, Nijinsky, Storm Shadow in there. Time is on my side. Put up those wicked fractions last week. Calico Jack Hanover, fresh off his Juravinsky score. Just a great program tomorrow on the card. And, of course, with 13, we'll have the pumped-up wagering menu, and chances are we're going to have a big... an even bigger carryover into that jackpot high five as well. Later on tonight, it's already underway, the huge card, closing night at the Raceway in London. Wishing all of them the best. You know, Greg Blanchard, who's going to be here tomorrow. You'll be able to probably chit-chat some of that.
Blanchard and Sugar, they're always here to help us out when we need them, eh?
Yeah, we know that Primetime Racing is going to get going as well, showing, their big events, the $150,000 Camelot Classic is going to be coming up as race number 11, scheduled to go around 10 after 10. Look at that speed we've got to the inside. When you think Poseidon, Seals, Blue Hunt, and Irvin Hanover, Brew Hanover in there. Chase H, Clever Cody, Fortify, Loose World also from post position number 2.
Do you think James makes front? See, I don't even think he attempts it.
I don't either, because I think they leave too much inside. That first turn so quick, I think he's going to have to get a trip.
I do too.
Yeah,
but I think that
it might be a trip where we talked about it yesterday, that he's going to be on the outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the Mares one is going to go the Four City Invitationals, race 10. It's supposed to go at about 20 to 10. Caviar and Crackers, she is white hot right now. She'll try the half for the first time, but she got the rail. The Gods on Platinum's going to be awfully tough, but Blue Pacific's got a ton of speed, so much more. You can never discount her, especially close to home for her. That's just a really nice group. They've also got City of London stake finals. They've got, albeit shorter fields, but the 3-year-old Colton Gelding Pacers for grassroots divisions. They have probably a couple races into their card. You can watch extended coverage and dedicated coverage to the big events on Primetime Racing. Just a great production team there, headed by Curtis McDonald and his Cujo Entertainment. That's going to be on Games Plus TV, which basically, if you've got any kind of TV subscription, you're going to probably have this channel because it's on Bell, it's on Rogers, Cogeco,
Roku?
Pluto, Roku, basically everything. If not, head to Randy's house. He's got it.
Randy can't even work the remote.
Can we get Randy's address up here on the lower third?
I get the dog to work my remote.
Nice. But yeah, that gets underway at 9:30. Tonight, so looking forward to that. Mark McKelvey, Nat Day, and Jamie McDonald will be on there, so that should be some very good coverage. Really looking forward to that. What about Livewire tonight? I think we're going to try and Livewire some guys. We've got some different guys in here. We haven't, secured anybody just yet. Is anybody specifically you'd want to talk to tonight?
I would like to talk to Todd Ratchford, just as long as you're not involved, because for some reason or other, you seem to make him quite emotional.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. You have that way about
I was pulling his arm here. Didn't you see what I was doing?
Yeah. Same as been me. I mean, I've always been like a really, low-key kind of guy. Don't get very emotional, but you do the same thing to me.
Breaking news. We've got Todd Ratchford.
Beautiful.
Already secured. For what race is that? at race 11. So you got to wait till then.
Gonna have to wait around.
But that's fine. I mean, that might have been by design.
Yeah.
Huh?
It'd be interesting though to see, hey, how did you sleep last night? That's got to be a huge thing for that family.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so we'll have Live Wire coming up. Just a great card on this Friday night to get this final weekend of May underway. $75,000 guaranteed on the early pick 5. That starts the card, and it's going to do that in a few minutes. We'll be back to talk it after the break. I'll leave you here with our plays of the night.